Hey guys, BlueCloud FTW here, and today I'm going to be doing something that's quite different for this channel. I'm going to be complaining about a specific group of people and their opinions, something which is done way too much on YouTube, and I've tried to avoid, but I can't avoid it anymore because it's become such a widespread opinion and debate topic. It's like a virus. It's like an infection, spreading and destroying everything in its path. And that is the idea that the weapon durability system in Breath of the Wild is bad. And I'm going to cover in the next few minutes, A, why it is absolutely necessary, and B, why it isn't that bad at all. Now, first of all, the fact that there are many weapons in this game are important because the core of Zelda games, of gameplay-wise for a long time, has been the weapons, the combat, and the tools used. Now, in this game, the tools have been done out with because they had to mix in world-affecting items such as hammers for breaking rocks, or launching things using the stasis rune, or axes for cutting down trees. Can you imagine finishing a classic Zelda dungeon and it's like, da 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 da, you got an axe? That wouldn't happen. You would get a claw shot or a rainbow shooting machine gun, but you can get basic items like these, and they are so necessary to the gameplay that they had to be spread around the world. Therefore, it would have not worked in a classic Zelda style, and therefore it is necessary that they are there mixed in with weapons, and that called for weapons to be pulled into this whole durability system and a inventory system. And yes, the inventory is upgradable, so it's not like you have one weapon and it breaks and you have to go find a new one every 5 minutes. You start off with about 6 weapons already, and then you can put it up to about 15 or something insane like that. So it's really not a problem, and everyone will agree that actually having weapons is never a problem. From the very beginning of the game, you've already got a few sticks and axes within 5 minutes of beginning. There's actually no problem whatsoever with having weapons. It's just the fact that people don't like their weapons breaking when they get strong ones or good ones or things like that. But I want you people to think for a moment. When you walk into a shrine and you start seeing chests up in the walls, you see chests behind gates, what do you want in them? Do you want some apples? Do you want some gems worth 60 rupees? No. You want weapons, shields, bows, things like that. And if you, as I said, already have your entire inventory filled from the very beginning of the game, you are going to either A, not want these weapons, or B, gonna have to go into your inventory, drop all the weapons, and then come out and pick them up. And if you already have all these weapons that never break, the chances are the first option, just not wanting the item in the chest, will come into play. And that is terrible, because getting new items is one of the core incentives for this game, for traveling, exploring, opening chests, defeating enemies. And one thing that sets this game apart from other games in terms of collecting items is that nearly every single item you can collect from an enemy or a location is visible to the naked eye from a distance and close up. When you walk into a camp of bokoblins, you can not only see the enemies in their, or the weapons in the enemy's hands, but sometimes you can even see the weapons lined up along a tree stump, nice and shiny for you, meaning you can decide exactly what you want to do, who you want to take on, what you want to pick up, and how you want to do it. Whereas in a game such as Fallout, for instance, yes, there would be one gun in the enemy's hands that you could see, but after you've gone into their inventory, you can see about 10 to 15 items, half of which would probably be armor or weapons, and you don't want to go through that. You don't want to go through that every single time in a Zelda game when most of those weapons could break, when you need to check the statistics and see how they're worth. You want to see durability perks and things like that. The fact is, Nintendo have done a great job getting around this by showing all items into the naked eye. Nothing is hidden behind UIs or menus or inventory screens. Everything is open, just as the entire game world itself is open air, as they described it. Therefore, there's barely any problem with deciding what weapons you want to use, deciding what weapons you want to throw away before you even have them. And because of that, it gets around the problem of weapon durability, letting room for weapon durability to be a great incentive for exploring the world, because you want to pick up new weapons, even if you have a full inventory of weapons and you see a good sword, you may think, well, I could avoid that because all my weapons won't break, except that's not the case. What you actually think is, well, I have my weapons right now, but what I actually might need to do is see, does this have a durability upgrade, or see, is this more powerful, and is it worth it for the short time of having this weapon, just so that I can throw away these ones and pick that up, and is it all worth it? And you start thinking and you start planning, and you do that all throughout the game, even when picking up weapons, and that is some ingenious gameplay design right there. A second useful perk of the entire weapon and shield and bow durability system is the fact that I know that when I play other RPGs or like games where you can pick up weapons or items, I'm always thinking, ooh, is this more powerful than that? Should I get rid of this? Should I get rid of that? Should I this, that? And you're always going into inventory, dropping weapons, picking up weapons, doing various things like that. Fallout got a clever way around it with the weight system, where you don't actually have to think about the inventory size. You can just pick up items until you get a weight, and really you could basically carry hundreds of guns. The only problem is you won't have to carry anything else, and that didn't work perfectly, as a lot of people will agree with. But in Breath of the Wild, because of the inventory system, you don't want to be spending any time at all thinking about weapon statistics and dropping weapons, picking up weapons, this, that, because the world is too big and you want to explore, you want to go places, you're always seeing something new that you want to go over to. And that is a problem with this game. It's a very good problem with this game, because you're always getting distracted, but you're getting distracted is good reason, because the fact that the game is packed and brimming with content that actually causes this problem. But if you had to decide what you wanted to pick up, and the strength of a weapon compared to the strength of your other weapons, and you're going to a village, they'll probably have nice guns there that you can buy and things like that in other games, that completely stales the gameplay and ruins the flow of the gameplay. Whereas with the weapon durability system, the world is destroying your weapons for you. There'll actually be locations where you have a specific type of enemy with loads of health on a valley or path to another place, and the game will know that you're probably more than likely going to use your weapons, melee weapons and such, on these items. And even if you're using bows or other things, those weapons are going to break, and this game can artificially prepare you for the upcoming events that it knows are coming without even telling you it's going to do it. The game can actually manipulate you to play how it wants you to play, for you to get the better experience without you even knowing about it. And I think that might be one thing that people are subconsciously annoyed about, is that the game feels so free, and then they sort of feel like the game's actually controlling you. But I can tell you, it's a lot better being controlled this way than being told, you see that eye? You can shoot it, and if you don't shoot it, the entire world will stop. The entire universe will stop functioning until you shoot it, and the game can continue. That's not something you actually want to happen. And something else I want to bring up is RNS, or at least that's what I call it, and it's respective necessary sacrifices, where each game will have some very good ideas behind it and some very good mechanics or anything like that, but there will be sacrifices that need to be made to other staples of gaming and 3D gaming, or open world gaming in this case, and you need to make sacrifices of those. And there's no way around it unless you want to get rid of the brand new mechanic you're coming up with. And obviously Breath of the Wild is not only a ginormous change for Zelda games, but it's a ginormous change for all other games. And in this case, the weapon durability system was an RNS. It was a respective necessary sacrifice. It was a sacrifice that was necessary for this respective game to fulfill the developer's goals for innovative new methods of open world, story, basically all gameplay, and it had to be done. And the fact is, unless they spend maybe another 6 years working on this game, which I know none of you want, there would be many interesting mechanics in this game that would have to be thrown out the window because of the weapon durability system not existing. And they had to have this weapon durability system, otherwise it just wouldn't have worked out, basically. Also, the fact that you can actually bypass many of the difficulties and the problems standing in your way during combat in Breath of the Wild means that they had to have some way to keep the gameplay fresh, keep it interesting, and give it an element of difficulty. And the best answer to that problem, in my opinion, and obviously in the multi-million-dollar funded development team of Breath of the Wild's opinion, the weapon durability system was the best way around that problem. Because when you go into a battle, if you go into a bokoblin camp with, say, 5 bokoblins on the inside, 3 bokoblins on the outside, archers, and then 1 white bokoblin, you're probably going to go through 1, 2, maybe even 3 weapons, depending on the strength of them or the durability of them. And that will make it a lot more interesting than just running in with the Master Sword, using the exact same moves on them, all of them, and then leaving. You're going to want to use your bows on them. You're going to want to use swords on them. If there's 3 enemies coming around you with spears, you're not going to want to use a short sword, I'll tell you that much. If there's a weapon with a huge heavy weapon, you're not going to want to use bows. You want to get your shield out to block them. And even if you don't think of those, the game will make you do that by breaking whatever weapons you were using first. And naturally, the bad weapons that you shouldn't be using to tactically overcome the situation will break because it's not working. And that's another example of the game naturally forcing you to make the correct decisions with just the physics engine and the mechanics in the world without really even the developers thinking about it. They basically could come up with these mechanics, build the world, and the world now naturally guides you into the correct situations without the developers doing anything, just because of the mechanics of the game. And probably one of the most important, if not the most important mechanic for that system was weapon durability. Anyway, this has gone on way too long. So if you agree with my opinions, if you disagree with my opinions, leave your statements down in the comments below, and I will be sure to reply to every single one of them as is usual on my channel. I hope you found some form of enjoyment from this video, and maybe you were enlightened, maybe you weren't enlightened. Either way, I have been Blue Cloud FTW. I will see you in the next video. Be sure to subscribe. Goodbye.